He was 9 feet 9 inches tall. His bronze armor weighed 125 pounds. His iron spearhead alone weighed 15 pounds. For 40 days, he walked out of the Philistine camp every morning and evening and shouted the same challenge across the valley. And for 40 days, not one soldier in the army of Israel moved. Then a teenager walked out of his father's house carrying lunch for his brothers, and everything changed. In 2005, archaeologists excavating a site called es-Safi found something that stopped the entire academic world cold. 2 pottery shards, broken pieces of a clay jar, approximately 3,000 years old, dated to the early Iron Age, and inscribed on those shards, in the oldest known example of Philistine writing ever discovered, 2 names. One of them was the name Goliath. This is the story of the giant, the real one. The year is approximately 1010 BC. Israel is a young kingdom under its first king, Saul. The Philistines are not the minor irritants. They are the dominant military power of the southern Levant. They brought with them something Israel did not have: iron. 1 Samuel 13:19. There was no blacksmith found throughout all the land of Israel, because the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make themselves swords or spears. When Saul and Jonathan went to battle, there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people. Only Saul and Jonathan had them. Now the geography. The Valley of Elah runs east to west through the Judean foothills, approximately 15 miles southwest of Jerusalem. Today you can drive to it, stand in it, look across it. The valley floor is perhaps 200 meters wide at the critical point. The Philistines camped on the southwestern slope. Between the 2 camps, a wadi, a dry stream bed called the Wadi es-Safi, the source of 5 smooth stones. Archaeology and geology confirm this exactly. The Wadi es-Safi produces a specific type of stream-polished limestone and flint, perfectly ballistic. Now we need to talk about Goliath himself, because for 200 years, biblical skeptics made him their primary exhibit. The argument was simple: giants don't exist. The account is mythology. 9 foot 9 is physically impossible for a human being. And then Tel es-Safi happened. 2 pottery shards found at Tel es-Safi, Gath, the home city of Goliath. Professor Aaron Meir of Bar Ilan University. The names inscribed are linguistically non-Semitic, Indo-European, related to Aegean and Anatolian languages. The name WLT on the pottery shard from Gath is linguistically identical to the consonantal root of Goliath, not proof that the specific individual existed. Proof that Goliath was a real Philistine name used in Gath in exactly this era. A secular archaeological team operating under rigorous scientific methodology with no theological agenda had uncovered the name of Goliath at the city of Goliath in the period of Goliath. The city of Gath in the 10th century BC was one of the largest cities in the entire region, comparable in size to Jerusalem itself at the same period. A destruction layer dated to approximately 830 BC, the moment when the Aramean king Hazael sacked Gath, an event recorded in 2 Kings 12:17. Iron Age iron production, evidence consistent with 1 Samuel's account of Philistine iron monopoly. Now we need to address the height. 9 feet 9 inches. Can a human being actually be that tall? The biblical text uses the term 6 cubits and a span. A cubit in the ancient Near East was not a standardized measurement. The Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew scriptures, gives Goliath's height as 4 cubits and a span, approximately 6 feet 9 inches. A Dead Sea Scroll fragment of 1 Samuel also gives the 4-cubit reading, one of the oldest surviving manuscript witnesses to the Hebrew text. The archaeology does not demand a 9-foot giant. It demands a Philistine warrior from Gath in the Iron Age, bearing a name linguistically identical to Goliath. Now let's walk into the valley on the morning that changed everything. The two armies have been facing each other for 40 days. The Israelite camp on the northeastern slope is a study in collective paralysis. The text says Saul and all Israel were dismayed and greatly afraid. Every morning, Goliath came out. Every evening, he came out again. The challenge was always the same. Choose a man for yourselves, and let him come down to me. Single combat. The ancient Near Eastern practice of settling battles by champion. The problem for Israel was not the rules. The problem was the man. No one in Saul's army was willing to step forward. Then a boy arrived in the camp, carrying cheese. His name was David, son of Jesse, from Bethlehem, youngest of 8 brothers. His job that morning was not military. David heard Goliath, and his anger burned. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? His oldest brother, Eliab, heard him and was furious. Why have you come down here? I know your pride and the evil of your heart.
I have heard this before, but this man is different. He's the only hope.
Saul sent for him anyway.
Show him to me. Yes, your majesty. You are just a boy.
You can't fight this Philistine. You are just a boy. He has been a warrior since his youth.
I caught it by its hair.
David's answer is not bravado. It is a very specific resume. Your servant used to keep sheep for his father. When a lion came and took a lamb from the flock, I went after it and struck it. And when it arose against me, I caught it by its beard and struck it and killed it. Saul tried to dress David in his own armor. The experiment failed immediately. He took his staff. He chose 5 stones from the wadi. He took his sling. And he went down to meet the giant. The sling was not a toy. In the ancient world, the sling was a military weapon of the first order. Archaeological and experimental testing has measured projectile velocities of 100 to 150 feet per second, comparable to a modern baseball pitcher. The impact force of a trained slinger at combat range was sufficient to fracture bone, cause severe traumatic brain injury, and kill an unprotected target. But here is the specific tactical advantage that David had that morning. Goliath was armored for close combat. His bronze helmet protected his head. His bronze scale armor weighed 125 pounds. Every piece of that armor was designed for the kind of combat Goliath expected. Sword against sword, spear against shield. David's sling was a ranged weapon. The bronze helmet did not cover Goliath's forehead. 1 Samuel 17:49. David put his hand in his bag and took out a stone and slung it and struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell on his face to the ground. This was not luck. This was not miracle masquerading as physics. This was a trained, accurate, experienced slinger targeting the exact anatomical vulnerability of a specific type of armored opponent. The expertise was real. The physics were real. The outcome was consistent with both. Goliath fell. The Philistine army saw their champion dead and did what every army did when their champion fell. They fled. The Israelites pursued them all the way to Gath, Goliath's own city. At Tel es-Safi, at the excavated remains of ancient Gath, the destruction layers from approximately this period are among the most dramatic in the entire site. The city that produced Goliath was a city that knew violence and devastation. The city of the giant does not survive. The record of the giant does. Now step back from the archaeology and stand in the valley. Picture it at dawn, the light just breaking over the Judean hills to the east. The wadi running cold and shallow through the valley floor. The 2 slopes occupied by 2 armies who have been doing nothing for 40 days. And the boy walking down from the Israelite side toward the center of the valley. He has refused the armor. He carries a staff. His sling is in his hand. 5 stones in his bag. Goliath sees him coming and is insulted. Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? He cursed David by his gods. Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and to the beasts of the field. David's answer is one of the most famous speeches in the entire ancient world. You come to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. The battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hand. Then David ran, the text specifically says ran, toward the army to meet the Philistine. He reached into his bag. He took a stone. He slung it. And the giant fell. The story of David and Goliath has been told 10,000 times as a children's fable about believing in yourself. That is not what the text says. David did not say, I believe in myself and my abilities. He said, the battle is the Lord's. He was not denying his skill. He had skill. Real, hard-won, sheep-protecting, lion-killing, bear-fighting skill developed over years. He was attributing his skill to the one who gave him his hands, his eyes, his reflexes, his years in the field, and the specific enemy standing 30 meters away with his forehead exposed. Every element of the encounter was prepared before David arrived. The valley was always going to be this valley. The stones were always going to be these stones. Goliath's armor was always going to have that gap. And the boy who spent years learning to throw with accuracy was always going to be the one who arrived that morning carrying cheese. The battle is the Lord's, but the Lord uses the prepared.
Today you will die.
When you face your Goliath, and you will face your Goliath, remember this. You are not being asked to fight in someone else's armor. Saul's armor did not fit David. It was not supposed to. David's preparation was different from Saul's preparation. His weapons were different. His angle of attack was different. What you have developed, the specific skills, the specific experiences, the specific years of hard work in unglamorous places, those are precisely what is required. The giant is large. The valley is real. The army behind you is watching. But you have been prepared for this. In the field, with the sheep. Against the lion, you didn't ask to fight. Against the bear that came when you were alone and no one was watching. That preparation was not wasted. Nothing was wasted.
For Israel, I will feed you.
Run toward the giant. If this changed how you see David and Goliath, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone who thinks the Bible is mythology, because the archaeology at es-Safi tells a very different story. Tell me in the comments, what hits you hardest? The pottery shard with Goliath's name? The sling as a military weapon? The 4-cubit reading from the Dead Sea Scrolls? The armor gap that David targeted? Tell me, I read every one.